Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Hi, I'm Speeder. Okay, so even though that 128GB SD card did not work with this camera, I am now using a 32GB, which does work. Turns out this camera only supports 32GB and below, so I'm currently using the max mount, but I have 4 of them, so it's the equivalent of that much, and I have them all labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, so I know in which order I'm filming with them. I'm not going to film anymore with that secondary 8GB, and once I finish posting everything on there, I'm going to give it back to my mom. But now, I have 5 different SD cards. I have the 8GB one that I usually use, and then I have 4 32GB ones. So that's really nice. This thing can have 12.5 hours of filming time on it. Like, there's so much space on this SD card compared to the other one, which is 3.5 hours. This is literally 9 hours more. I'm very much excited, if you can't tell. But today, I thought I would make another Keep It the Books video. Obviously, since this is on Keep It the Books. And I've done my top 10 favorite series before. I've done my top 10 favorite book characters before. I've done my top 5 favorite authors before. I've ranked books in Ranger's Apprentice, Harry Potter, and Keeper of the Lost Cities. But now I thought, you know what, I'll do another ranking video. This is like, the last one I did was book recommendations, I believe, and then 2 other ranking ones before that. But I thought I'd do another ranking video. I did just barely finish Blood of Olympus, so I've now finished the Heroes of Olympus series. But before I can do one video that I've been really wanting to do with ranking the 7 from that series, plus Nico, I would like to read and finish reading Trials of Apollo and possibly the Demigod Diaries, but probably not. Just so that I have the full context of all of the characters, because I don't know which characters appear in Trials of Apollo and which ones don't. So, maybe all of them do. I don't know. I'm hoping so, but, you know, I know for a fact that Nico's in it. I know that, because I've heard, but I don't know how much he's in it, but I know he's in it. But, yeah, so I want to rank those 8 characters, the 7 plus Nico. No, I'm not going to add Reyna into there and everything. But, yeah. In order to do that, I do need to read Trials of Apollo, but I'm making progress. So now I'm reading Words of Radiance again. And then I also have Lord of Chaos, both of which I'm in the middle of, because both of which I've had to turn in before I've had the chance to actually finish them, because I've been piling a bunch of books on top of each other. Also, school starts the day after tomorrow, and it's Monday right now, so that's interesting. But anyways, yeah, so these are my top 10 favorite individual books, not standalones. They're all of them. I don't have a single standalone on this list. All of them are from different series, but they are my favorites. Some of them do repeat through the series, but don't worry, there's still plenty of variety in the list. Not a ton of variety. There's a decent amount of variety in the list. If I was doing each of different series, I'm not sure I would remember all of them, because, well, that takes a second. But anyways, so I guess let's just get into it. Yeah. I do technically have something I need to do at 4 o'clock. I have a new workout schedule. Help me get into shape, which might take a while, but yeah, so I need to be somewhere at 4, so this video at length should be like 30 minutes at most, hopefully. It can be a little bit longer, because I can't start at 4:30, but preferably I finish it decently quickly. I was kind of excited to film, so that is what we are doing. Okay, so let's just get started. I'll try to keep this spoiler-free. If I am going to spoil a book, since none of these are the first book. Oh, well, actually, one of them is. There's more than one, the first book. No, just one of them is the first book. Okay, so one of these is the first book of a series, but other than that, the rest of them are later into it, whether it be the second or third book. I don't think there's any second books on here. But whether it be the third book, fourth book, fifth book, sixth book, seventh, eighth, doesn't matter. These are just individual favorites. So let's just kick it off with number 10, Group of the Shadow Plague from Fablehaven. Okay. So Fablehaven is a phenomenal series. You may have noticed it did not come up in my top 10 favorite series video near the beginning. That probably needs to be fixed. Which I plan on doing a sequel to that, not this year, but the year after that. And I double checked, and I thought that I had started my channel on November 12th, because that's an interesting day, and I would have thought that I had started that day, but turns out I actually started it on November 13th, which is weird, but that's the case. So that was when my intro video for this channel came up. So it'll be November 13th of not this year, but the year after that. But yeah, because I thought I had done it on the day that, I know I did it the day that I watched the first Lord of the Rings. But I thought it was November 12th I did that, not November 13th. But turns out I made that video, or at least I posted the video on November 13th. But yeah. Anyways, getting back into this. Yeah, so Grip of the Shadow Plague, I believe it is book 3 of Fablehaven. This one, without giving any spoilers, as much as possible, it is a very enticing book. It has a lot of close call moments and things, and I don't know, I always was enveloped in the story of this one, and it's one I have reread several times, whereas I haven't reread the series itself several times as much as I've read this book specifically. It is not my favorite Fablehaven book, but it is very much up there, as obviously it's on my top 10 favorites list, or else it wouldn't be up there. I have finished all of Fablehaven and Dragon Watch that have come out. And this one remains my second favorite out of all of them. So that's great. It's one that I always go back to. The story, I'm just very invested in the story every single time I read it. I don't know, it's just one of those, it's like a nostalgia book. And so, I love a good old-fashioned nostalgia book. There are one or two on this list that are nostalgia books. Maybe 3. But the rest of them are ones I've read more recently and have liked for other reasons rather than just nostalgia. But, like I said, it's not just nostalgia. It is nostalgia, but it is also the story and the way that they build on the characters and stuff. So all that's great. Anyways, let's move on to number 9, which is one I have read more recently, and that is The Mark of Athena from the Heroes of Olympus series. This is book 3. Without giving too many spoilers, I'll try to avoid that. But obviously it's called Mark of Athena, so Annabeth is going to be a major part of this because obviously she's a daughter of Athena. So I do love Annabeth. She's definitely one of my favorite characters in the series and of all time, as I've stated in previous videos. And I love the fact that they focus on her for one whole section of this book is great. But then there's a bunch of other stuff that's also going on with the 7 splitting up and everything to go on different quests all at the same time, and how they all connect together. I love the questing aspect of Percy Jackson, because I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some people I know, like my sister, do not like Percy Jackson because they feel it's too drawn out. But I actually like it for that reason, because I don't feel like it's drawn out. I feel like it builds on the series more. It builds on the world. It builds on the characters' relationships and friendships and everything. It builds and it builds and it builds, and then you have the explosion. I love series that do that. I also love, like, detailed books, like in Wheel of Time and Stormlight Archive. They're great. I love detail, I love world building, character development all the way. It's awesome. And I couldn't ask for more. So, yeah, I mean, Mark of Athena isn't my favorite in Heroes of Olympus, but again, it is my second favorite in Heroes of Olympus. I do have some honorable mentions once we get to the end of number 2. But, yeah. Mark of Athena is my second favorite in the Heroes of Olympus series. So it's great. What is it with third books being my second favorite? I'm like, I don't even know. But anyways, that's not always the case. So let's move on to number 8. This is one I focused a lot on earlier on the channel, and that is Wheel of Time, Fires of Heaven. I have not finished Wheel of Time. I am still on book 6, but this is book 5 of Wheel of Time, and so far it is my favorite. It goes into so much detail. The world expands just so much, and there's so much going on. I can't comprehend it, and I've done rants on this thing. I wouldn't call them rants, but I've done so many deep dives into it. I haven't finished the series yet. I know that there's supposed to be some big thing that happens at the end or something from cousins and stuff who have read the series. I know that Wheel of Time is a series that you kind of have to reread to be able to fully understand, and I am very much looking forward to that, because so far I very much have enjoyed the series, like, quite a lot. And I have to say, Fires of Heaven impressed me, like, a lot. I don't even know. It did, and there was so much detail, and so far it is my favorite Wheel of Time book. And it does make it on this list, because it was phenomenal. I have to say, the first book kind of bored me. I didn't like it a lot. I was like, I mean, some of it was great. Eye of the World was great in a lot of places, but overall, it just kind of, that was one of the ones that I felt was too much. The second book, I think, was better, Great Hunt. Third book, I think, just got better. I think it just gradually got better. Eye of the World, I think, has so far been the worst. And it's just progressively gotten better until you get Fires of Heaven, which was so good. You can watch my review on that, and also I made a 3-part rant about it, and how much I love it. It's a great book, and I'm excited to see how it ties into the rest of it. Because I have started book 6, but I have not had a chance to finish it yet, because I keep having to turn it back into the library. But anyways, yeah, so Fires of Heaven, phenomenal book. So, number 7, Keys to the Demon Prison, Fablehaven, book 5. So, this is my favorite Fablehaven book. Keys to the Demon Prison is the finale, and again, so much happens. It is super epic. So much, there's reveals, there's even new characters, there's old characters coming back and joining together, there's old alliances and enemies and everything, and just, it's another one of those ones that is really a nostalgia one. It may be less nostalgia than Grip of the Shadow Plague, but it is still nostalgia, but it's also more, like, it's such an epic book. The ending, I think, was done so well. I won't say much about it other than that, but it was phenomenal, and I think, yeah, it was really, really good. Unlike Wheel of Time so far, I think Fablehaven has kind of skipped around in its good to bad stuff. I think the first book was good. I think the second book was alright. I think the third book was phenomenal. The fourth book was pretty good. It was very good, but it doesn't quite make it on this list. and then the 5th book was also phenomenal. So, yeah, Fablehaven skips around a lot. So does Keeper, but you know, yeah. I think that was another one that could, to some people, maybe seem like it dragged out, but I don't think it did. It didn't. It built on each other. Each book built. It built characters, friendships, and relationships, and it built out this world from one sanctuary to this whole world of this system of sanctuaries, and it was great. I very much enjoyed reading it, and honestly, there were sometimes I was actually worried about some things, and some of my worries came true, some of them didn't. I don't know. I love Fablehaven. It's a wonderful series. I would love to reread it again more recently. It's been a couple of years since I've read it. I've read Dragon Watch very recently, but Fablehaven, it has been a few years. So after I'm done reading a bunch of other books, that's one that I want to reread again. It's great. Okay, let's move on to number 6, The Shadow Throne, which I believe is the name. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. But it is the Ascendance Book 3. Not any longer the last book of Ascendance, because Book 4 came out, Captive Kingdom. Shadow Throne is another one like Keys to the Demon Prison. I mostly like it because of the ending. However, this one was better than Keys to the Demon Prison because I think Sage. I'm gonna keep that spoiler free, but let's just call him Sage. Sage, in this book, is so snarky. He's not as snarky as he was in book 2, but it's beautiful. He is my favorite character of all time. Literally, if you watch my top 10 favorite characters video, yes, it will contain spoilers for the Ascendance for that one. But Sage, man, it feels weird calling him that, but Sage is brilliant. And he's great in this book too. And so you have a great beginning, great middle, great end, but especially a great end. And then you have the key ingredient that makes it better than Keys to the Demon Prison, and that's Sage. I'm going to call him Sage, Ascendance fans, I know. But anyways, okay, so that's all I can really say. It's the 3rd book in the series, but yeah, let's move on to the top 5. First of all, we have a Legacy from Keeper of the Lost Cities, book 8. Not currently the last book, because book 8.5 is the last, but this is my second favorite Keeper book, I think. Some of the other ones may compare, but not really as much as book 8 can. The ending genuinely shocked me. I did not see that coming. I don't want to say anything more than that. And overall, the book had so much that happened. Characters changed, relationships changed, friendships changed. There was so much that happened, and there was character development all the way. There were reveals all the time. It was insane. I mean, there were so many reveals in this book. I mean, there weren't as many plot twists as, say, like, Prisoner of Azkaban, but, like, which is not on this list, by the way, even though I think it's a great book. But it has some reveals, which are very important reveals, and it also has some circumstances that happen, especially at the end of the book, that seem to heavily affect the characters. Reveals, situations, character developments, who to tell a secret to. It all just comes together to make one big mess, which is hardly resolved whatsoever in book 8.5. It's not at all resolved in 8.5, and that is why I'm super excited for book 9, which should come out next year. I want it to be resolved. Please. This is my favorite series. Come on. Okay. Let's move on to number 4, which is my favorite in Heroes of Olympus, House of Hades. This may be a controversial one. Some people I know actually really hate House of Hades because they say it's really boring, and then a lot of other people I know love House of Hades because they say it's super good. I personally love it, and in order to be able to truly give this one justice, I am going to have to spoil Heroes of Olympus. So, if you do not want Heroes of Olympus spoiled for you, if you have not read it, then I would skip past this part of the video. I'll probably try to leave a time in the description. If I don't, then I'm sorry, but I will try to, where I will finish talking about Heroes of Olympus. I may also bring up some controversial topics, so I'm warning you guys about that ahead of time. Okay. House of Hades. May the spoilers begin. First of all, Tartarus. The Percy and Annabeth storyline in this book is phenomenal. Being in Tartarus, the description of how awful it was with the air and the rivers of various substances and all of the monsters and the way that they form and everything, and you just see how much actual torture these monsters go through every time they're sent back to Tartarus. And so no wonder that they would want to get out. No wonder, right? And you see how much Percy and Annabeth suffer through that and how much that grows their relationship, and I think that was done very well, and the description of Tartarus was so good. I could imagine it in my mind so well. It was a very good description. That was wonderful. But then, at the same time, you have the suspense of the coming conflict. You know that Blood of Olympus is going to be epic, and it was epic. It barely didn't make it on this list. I wanted to put it on it, but it is my number 11. Because these Crypt of the Shadow Plague barely beat it. I wanted to put it on this list for several reasons, especially because you get Nico's perspective, which was amazing. I want to do a video on Blood of Olympus. I really do. It was so good. But House of Hades had some very important things that happened. Such as Tartarus, which I think is my favorite part of the book, is the Tartarus storyline with Percy and Annabeth. So you have that, and you have the suspense, right? But then you also have the side quests, which I still love the side quests, even if they're... Even though most of them are important, I'd still call them side quests, I guess. But I don't know. It was very entertaining. And yes, I was mostly looking forward to Percy and Annabeth storyline stuff. But things that happened on the surface were still very important. And now I go to one of the main reasons, like one of the other main reasons besides Tartarus, that this is my favorite Percy Jackson book. And that is gosh darn freaking amazing representation. Thank you. Somebody finally did it. And yes, I'm talking about Nico D'Angelo. Sorry if I pronounced his name differently. That reveal, when they talked to Cupid, when Nico and Jason went and talked to Cupid, confirmed my suspicions from the original series. I was right, and I'm very happy about that. and also it's representation, and that is wonderful. I love that. It's great. Awesome. And I also love it in Blood of Olympus, because you finally get Nico's perspective. You get to see what he's going through. But we're not talking about Blood of Olympus right now. But that is a very good book that I would very much like to do a video on. You actually see this genuine thing that happens to normal teenagers. Because they feel like they aren't accepted. They feel like they're pushed away from everybody, even though sometimes they're not. And that leads to depression. You literally get to see Nico's depression. You can see that he's pining for someone that he's never going to have. Because how would it happen? It wouldn't happen because of many reasons. But he's pining after someone he can never have. And he's going through depression. He feels pushed away from everybody. And he just wants to be by himself. And I love the way that Rick Riordan portrayed that. It was just... It was excellent. It was excellent. That's all I can say. It was excellently done. It was beautiful. And I love the ending that Nico has so far in Blood of Olympus. Because he deserves it, honestly. And that's why I'm ranking him with the 70s, because he deserves it. I'm not putting in Coach Hedge or Reyna, but Nico, he should be. And he deserves it. So that's that. Do I have a pen down here? I don't. I don't think so, at least. Okay, well, I'll have to write down this timestamp later. But we're back. Alright. I'm just gonna try and remember that as 2725. Alright. So that's my rant on House of Hades. Let's move on to our top 3. First of all, and yes, I know those were controversial topics. If you don't agree with that, that's fine, but please do not berate me about that in the comments, because I would definitely not appreciate that. So please don't do that. People can be people, and that's okay. Respect people for being people. But yeah. Anyways, top 3. First of all, we have Order of the Phoenix from Harry Potter, Book 5, my favorite Harry Potter book. This one has so much controversy, and who likes it and who doesn't. A lot of people say they hate this book because it's too long, there's too much going on, too much description and everything, and then some people love this book. It's like there's no in between. I am one of those who loves this book. It is wonderful. I like it a lot. I love it. It's great. Anybody who hasn't heard of Umbridge and knows that she is in this book has been living under a rock. I'm sorry. But yeah. So Umbridge. And my absolute hate for her inspires this to probably is one of the big reasons why this is my favorite book. Because it makes you feel stuff. You feel anger, you feel happiness, you feel awkwardness. You feel the character's emotions, especially Harry's emotions, while you're reading it, especially as a teenager. When you're reading it, you relate to it. It's made for teenagers, and in some cases, some young adults, but not really. It's mostly relatable to teenagers, and you actually really feel their emotions. You hate this character, you're awkward about this situation, you're embarrassed by this situation, secondhand embarrassment. I am so sorry to any Miraculous fans who I upset by saying this, but statue scene. You know what I'm talking about if you're a Miraculous Ladybug fan. And yes, I am. Don't judge. It's wonderful. It's actually a good show, except for repetitiveness. It's one issue. It's very repetitive, but technically it is now made for kids. The original idea for that show was not, and it bothers me that they changed it so much. But yeah. Anyways, yeah. But that kind of secondhand embarrassment. The statue scene, kind of secondhand embarrassment. Yeah. So you feel that kind of embarrassment, and then you also have, like I said, anger. You have happiness in some situations, irritation, all sorts of stuff. You just feel their emotions, and there's also so many epic scenes. I love the way that they ended this book. It made the whole thing so worth it, even though there were some boring parts, like the St. Mungos was completely unnecessary, and like, what the heck, but I won't get into any more detail than that. But the ending was so phenomenal, and it just makes up for everything. And especially Dumbledore and how do I put this without spoiling things? Dumbledore and him wand duel. Harry Potter fans know what I'm talking about. Dumbledore, him, duel. Right? So, that was brilliant. And I think that was also very well done in the movies. That's one of the few things that I actually like about that movie. Goodness, I hate that movie so much. But I love the book. It's my favorite book. It was great. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. It's already been 30 minutes. Of course it has. Because I spent so much time talking about House of Hades. Okay, number 2 is The Way of Kings. I made a spoiler-free review on this, mostly spoiler-free. I didn't bother to make an actual review, but yeah. This is a phenomenal book. It has so many character descriptions. It has such a huge and vast world, and the description is great. The world building is great. The building of characters' friendships and relationships is great. The whole book is just great. I mean, I put it this high above the other ones. I might have put the other ones on the list if I have read each of them more than once. I've read the first 3 books all at once, and I'm about halfway through Words of Radiance. And I might put Words of Radiance as my favorites in that series, but I don't know. Way of Kings it brings a certain amount of memories back. It's another nostalgia one, even though I've read it more recently. I read it when I was in the 5th grade, I think? Yeah, 5th grade. Which wasn't a super long time ago, but it wasn't super recently either. It was a few years back. More than a few years. It's been a couple of years. Several years. But it wasn't super long ago, and it wasn't super recently. So, yeah. I mean, it brings back a lot of memories, but it's also, it's so good. My favorite character in that series is debatable, but it's probably none of them. Okay, that didn't really make any sense, but just listen. The characters are real. They're real characters who you don't like everything about any of them. You dislike things about all of them, and they're real enough to be able to make you do that, which is great. Some of them are super brave and yet can be overly irritated at things. Some of them are very smart and want to make something of themselves, but also has a strong sense of guilt right? And so there's things that you like and dislike about characters, just like there are things that you like and dislike about other actual living humans. And it's great. And they're described so well. And no character in that series is perfect. They all have flaws, and that is great. It humanizes them. It makes them feel more real, and I love it when a book does that. Even Harry Potter. Hermione Granger is my favorite character in Harry Potter. But there are things I dislike about her. Like the fact that she can be a little bit of a know-it-all. I'm sorry, but she can. I mean, so can I. But less, but yeah, I can. I know other people in real life who can be a bit of a know-it-all. Anyways, but they make the character so real, and that's what's important. A character who's too perfect or too evil, just it doesn't fit. There's gonna be things you like and dislike about a character. Even Tom Riddle, Voldemort, he has one or two minorly good qualities. Even though he may be a terrible human being, I don't know. He's decently real. He's less real than other characters, which is sad. But if you humanize a villain, that is brilliant. Because just Supreme Overlord, bad villain, no matter what, there's nothing you can do to change them, that's boring. And you have to be careful about how you do it, but it's just done so well. It can be done so well if you just do it right. You can really make them human seeming. And if a villain is human, no, not like human, but if a villain is made realistically and they have things that you like about them and also that you heavily dislike about them, who are you to root for? The hero or the villain? Because what draws the line between a hero and a villain? Perspective. A hero is always going... Someone is always going to think that they are... Well, not always, but a lot of times, especially in books and in even real life, people do things, not all the time, but sometimes they do it because they think it's the right thing. Some people don't. Some people are just, nah. But a lot of people do bad things with good intentions. Think about this. MCU. Thanos. Sorry, spoilers for Infinity War. Starting now, I guess. I'm not going to put a timestamp for this. But Thanos, he wants to wipe out half the universe with a single snap of his fingers, right? Why does he want to do this? Well, it's because he believes in equality, and he truly believes that he's doing the right thing. He truly believes that this will be better. Obviously he's not, but I mean, it is wrong, but from his perspective, it is very wrong. It is the wrong thing, but from his perspective, it's not. It all depends on your perspective. One perspective says, that is the wrong thing, I'm doing the right thing. And the other perspective says, I'm doing the right thing, he or she is doing they are doing the wrong thing. I mean, it all is a matter of perspective. So, yeah, like I said, what draws the line between a hero and a villain? Perspective. It's all about perspective. Almost every character who isn't like a supreme killing machine overlord who's evil, pure evil, right, has perhaps a chance to redeem themselves. Some don't. but some do. In my own series that I'm currently writing, called the Baron Chronicles, my main villain has qualities that may or may not allow him to redeem himself. I'm not going to tell you that in case you ever read it, but may or may not. And I love writing a good old complex villain. Complex characters, complex villains, they're great. I love them. And that is one of the things that I very much like about Way of Kings, is that the characters are real. The villains, you can see a perspective from them. Are they really the villains? Who is the villain? Because you don't know. Is it the Alethi? Is it the Parshendi? Is it the Voidbringers? Who knows? But now that I've gone on that rant about perspective and stuff, number 1. Oh wait, before that, honorable mentions. So, honorable mentions include Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus, Blood of Olympus. Fablehaven, Secrets of the Dragon Sanctuary, Book 4. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Book 3. Percy Jackson, The Last Olympian, Book 5. Battle for Scandia, Book 4 of Ranger's Apprentice. Words of Radiance, Book 2 of the Stormlight Archive. Battle of the Labyrinth, Book 4 in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And yeah, I think that's it. So, yeah. Those are the honorable mentions. Like I said, I really want to do a video on Blood of Olympus at some point, maybe. But let's move on to number 1. Lodestar. Keeper of the Lost Cities, Book 5. Lodestar. I cannot explain why I like this book so much. But, in all honesty, without spoilers, I think it's the Keith storyline in this book. I can't tell you, without spoilers, exactly what his storyline is in this book, but it's so good. Keith is my second favorite Keeper of the Lost Cities character. He used to be my favorite, but then I realized that I like another character better. But Keith's storyline in this book is so good. I love certain telepathic conversations. I love certain buildings on relationships, which is another reason why Book 4 of Keeper is so good, because it also does that. It probably should have gone into the honorable mentions as well. So let's make that another honorable mention. Never Seen in Keeper of the Lost Cities. Aside that. Anyways, but this one has always stuck with me. I don't know what it is. I've read it several times. Not as much as other books like Harry Potter, but I've read it 3 times now? Yeah, I read it 3 times. And each time it just blows my mind away. I don't know what it is about Lodestar, but it's just such a good book. And it really adds on to Keith's character. Maybe that's why I like it so much, is Keith. But, yeah. I need to be somewhere, so I'm going to wrap up really quick. Just so you know, Lodestar is the favorite book. So, let's do this top 10 overview once again. At number 10 is Fablehaven, Book 3, Grip of the Shadow Plague. Number 9 is Heroes of Olympus, Book 3, The Mark of Athena. Number 8 is Wheel of Time, Book 5, Fires of Heaven. Number 7 is Fablehaven, Book 5, Keys to the Demon Prison. Number 6 is The Ascendants, Book 3, The Shadow Throne. Number 5 is Keeper of the Lost Cities, Book 8, Legacy. Number 4 is Heroes of Olympus, Book 4, House of Hades. Number 3 is Harry Potter, Book 5, The Order of the Phoenix. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, yeah. Number 2 is Book 1 of the Stormlight Archive, Way of Kings. And number 1 is Book 5 of Keeper of the Lost Cities, Lodestar. So that is my list of my top 10 individual books. And yes, I've covered some very controversial topics in this video, like about what draws the line between a hero and a villain, and Another thing that I have not previously stated my opinion on, but I think from watching this video, if you did watch the spoiler section of the House of Hades, then you know my opinion on that, which is support all the way. But yeah, well, maybe not. That's a hard one to put. But anyways, yeah. So that's my ranking, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.